I love those parody skits about interns in mega churches and like, you know, how they're never paid to do anything.
Yeah.
But they're required to work like
parody. Good one. It's not parody. Next question. Well, welcome back to the Winner of This Podcast. My name is Nate Robinson. I'm here, Pastor Dr. Joseph Tillman, Demon Jr. How are you doing today, sir?
Cold. Just cold.
Yes.
It's freezing in Georgia, and it just needs to stop. I don't know what's going on.
I think you have talked about the weather at the beginning of the last, 3 or 4 episodes.
Dude, it's so cold.
That's how you're doing, is weather.
But it's just so cold. I'm just not okay with it. I'm from South Georgia. I need it warm. I need it hot. I want to be sweating. This is terrible.
No, this is way better than sitting down here sweating in the summer.
No, honest to God.
I probably talked about sweating during the summer.
Actually, you did.
The whole time.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I'll actually take that over this. I hate being cold.
No.
Yes, I just hate it.
Why?
It's just, I'm miserable when I'm cold,
Being cold doesn't make you smell halfway through the day.
I know, dude, but I get miserable when I'm cold. It's so uncomfortable for me, especially when I'm outside, man. The wind's like whipping around and my ears are freezing, and I'm just like, oh God, it hurts. It's painful.
Whatever.
Other than that, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
We're going back to college this week.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, I love going back to school.
Perpetual student, Joseph, Pastor Doctor.
I really like it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm for it.
Well, read the ad again.
Okay. Before we get started today with our questions, we want to shout out our sponsor, the Discipleship Group. The Discipleship Group is a systematic training for Christians who want to go deeper and grow stronger in their relationship with God. In these courses, Dr. Jay Zen brings you over 4 decades of study, pastoring, and teaching to equip the saints to make disciples. The Discipleship Group is a series of 6 books, each book consisting of 26 weeks. Therefore, it's 3 years of study. Each week has articles written by the author to read, a chapter from a supplemental book like The Passion for God or More Than a Carpenter, The Master Plan of Evangelism, and there's scripture readings each week from the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Psalms. I've used the Discipleship Group resources for over a decade. I've used them in groups of 2 to 3 people. I've used them in small groups up to 12 people. And I can tell you, as a pastor, as someone who spends a lot of time making disciples and meeting with others, that the Discipleship Group resources are the best that I have found for growing in our faith and for encouraging us to go and make disciples ourselves. Go to discipleshipgroup.com, check out their resources, find out information about Dr. J, and I'm telling you, you will not regret it.
Very good read of the ad again.
Thank you, sir. I feel like I'm becoming very proficient at it. Patreon, go there, man, and you can continue to support us and allow us to continue to do these awesome podcasts, right? And so continue to do these podcasts and be able to, pay for light bulbs and fun stuff like that. And
light bulbs make it so you can see us.
Really does. And and so hard drives, man. How many hard drives we go through?
Oh yeah.
I mean, whatever. But yeah, so
about two every 3 months.
Okay. So I mean, that's a good amount.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so we appreciate y'all's support. That would be awesome. Thank you.
Website.
Go there. And I see that every time. And I don't even know anything new. We need to put something new on the website so I can promote that thing which is new on the website.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can also go there and support us.
I think the videos auto-populate in the website. So there's always the newest stuff.
Oh, cool.
There, I think.
Yeah. Sounds awesome.
But I haven't been there in a while.
Neither have I. All right, I'm going to check it out.
Because I know what's on there.
I'm going to check it. I know who I am. Maybe.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to check it out next time, and I'm going to find out.
Who do I say I am?
Right. I'm going to find out some information and throw it out there.
Social media.
Yeah, I love social media.
Wow. First pastor to ever say that.
I say mostly sarcastically. All right, so yeah, you go there, like, subscribe, comment, share, follow, all the things, and that would be great. We appreciate it.
Cool. More
Yes, sir.
Bible college.
Yes, sir. More
We've got
Bible college
a class today for an hour
Yes.
now,
It's gonna be great.
where I'm going to learn about Bible college from you.
Yeah, you are.
All right. So, okay. So at the end of the last episode, you didn't know a thing. And so
Okay.
at the beginning of this episode, you're going to know a thing. So
Okay.
can Catholics transfer to other colleges or if they're a priest,
Mhm.
be a different priest, pastor somewhere else?
Okay. And do they have to go to school
And
for
do
it
they
or
have to go to
whatever?
school in between?
Okay. Yeah. So no. So like, all right. If you're an ordained Catholic priest,
Okay.
and you're right, I didn't know this last time, so I had to look it up. So yeah, if you're an ordained Catholic priest, you actually can, become a priest. Let's say you're a Catholic priest and you want to become a priest in a Methodist, church or a Lutheran church, whatever it may be. Then you would, obviously speak to the leaders or the conferences, the bishops, however that's set up within those denominations. Let them know your intention, and then you do not have to go back and go get a full Master's of Divinity degree. Okay,
Okay.
you would if you were just coming in for the first time into the Methodist church or Lutheran church. It's actually very similar to an individual, let's say, leaving the Lutheran church, going to the Methodist church, for example.
Okay.
They would, so you would come over, you'd have to go through a candidacy of ordination. Again, every denomination kind of has its own sets of rules of how long you have to be in an ordination process for, what does the candidacy or look like. But then all of them have specific things they want you to know about their specific denomination, so that you understand their doctrine and their theology. And especially coming over from a Catholic, theology, they would want to make sure that you're now aligning with the denominational, teachings and doctrines. And so you would, take.
I'm really interested in your stance on elder marriage at this church.
All right. Sure. Okay.
As a Catholic priest for the longest time.
Right. What is your feelings on this?
Yeah.
And
really, really looking forward to that.
That would be fair. But yeah, so you'd have to take so you may have to go to take an online class, or it could be for, I think, a Methodist church, it's 3 different courses you have to take. And then at the same time, I know I can speak from the Methodist church background. You would be assigned a mentor, and that mentor would make sure, that you're walking through the courses and that the doctrine and the theology is matching and working within the, what they're looking for within the Methodist denomination. And so that's the way it looks like that it appears to be in most denominational cases. Now, obviously, if you're going to a non-denominational church who may not require certain degrees, it's not going to matter at all, right? In other words, come in, you probably don't have to do any more schooling, just... again, they're just going to make sure that you're following and you're in line with whatever their statement of faith or statement of belief is.
Catholic priest to non-denominational church would be crazy.
It'd be wild.
Yeah.
It'd be like leaving. You're leaving such high church.
Yeah.
To go to that. But I know people who've done that, and I also know people who've done the opposite.
Really?
They've gone from the charismatic, non-denominational, kind of high worship environment, and then all of a sudden becoming Catholic and entering into that real high church liturgical environment. And so, yeah.
Becoming just regular Catholic people or Catholic priests?
Catholic priest.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
No.
You're not doing that?
That's like a post-divorce decision.
A midlife crisis after all that's happened. Yeah. Look at that.
I'm just never going to have sex again.
I just need some stability in my life. Right. I don't know. But I also know individuals, and I do know individuals that have done that as, married, not going to the Catholic church, obviously, but going to an Anglican church, for example.
Okay.
Or an Episcopal church where, again, it's that real kind of high church. And so anyways, yeah.
Do other countries do Bible college like we do Bible college?
Oh man, that's a great. I'm glad you asked that. That's a good question.
Okay.
It again, it it varies. It's all over the map. I mean, honestly.
Good one.
Sorry. No pun intended at all. My end, my bad. But it really is. It's like it's.
Wow.
I know. I just. Sorry. All right, but it's so diverse. It's so diverse in what different churches and church denominations are looking for in various countries.
Okay.
So I mean, I have taught in two different schools of ministries. So like one in I taught for several years in one in India.
What?
Yeah, and I taught for one in several years in Colombia, and so. It was
Why am I learning all these things in these episodes?
I don't know.
Like you used to be a prison pastor or whatever.
Yeah, chaplain of a prison.
Yeah. What?
I know.
Was this all before you became a pastor at 22 or whatever?
No. So for example, like with India, so we were actually partnering with a church denomination that's there in India.
Okay.
And so myself and another individual he was the main connection point. So he and I we traveled together over there, I think for four years in a row, teaching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so what we were doing was teaching on like more of like what you would call like a certificate type level for the pastors that were in the rural churches.
Okay.
And so they would come like 100 pastors would come gather together for a week.
There's that much Christianity in India?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
It's just the thing with India is like you've got a lot of Christians in India, but then you've also, I mean, obviously you just have so many people in India. So to say that you've got a lot of Christians in India, percentage wise, it's still not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there's so many people that live in India, and there's so many religions that are practiced in India as well.
Right.
But yeah, so we would go over there, we would train and that kind of thing. But then so we were working with like more of the rural pastors, so they were coming in and they had to go through, I think, like 7 different courses, something like that. And so like so it would be like, and the teaching was like all day, like you're starting. So I remember the first time I went over there, I was told to prepare for, I think, 2 sessions a day for 5 days. Okay. And I was like, cool. And in my head, that was like, all right, well, I'm going to be doing it with translation. So let's say 45 minutes to an hour. So I need like basically 2 hours, let's say, of teaching every day. And what I had no idea was that when we got over there, the sessions, like there was like, when they said 2 sessions a day, they meant like hours. Like, so I burned through all of my material in like the first day and a half. And so then, I mean, I was just prepping the rest of the time. So every time coming back after that, I was ready. But I mean, it was intense. I mean, they were expecting you to, we were at breakfast at 7 and we were starting, worship at, let's say 8 and then teaching at 8:30. And it was a blitz from that point on. And for the rest of the day. So, I mean, it was really awesome. But yeah, so we were training these like pastors, but the same denomination, they actually did have like full seminaries that were accredited where you could go and get an MDiv.
No.
And yeah. And so there were individuals in the schools for that as well. And so what the denomination had decided was that they were going to have different requirements, basically, depending on, individuals' ability or capacity to be able to come to school and actually live there. Like they actually had a whole campus. Like you could live there, go to seminary, get your MDiv, and then, go to, to a church, be appointed to a church. Or for a lot of the local pastors, like they're like almost like, like local pastors who would come and just get the basic trainings, theological trainings, and then go back to their churches and serve there. So like, in India, again, you've got actually, there's a really couple of amazing seminaries that are in India. And so you've got all the way from like the local training, to that in India. and to the you can get your doctorates and stuff there. Okay, and then same thing like when I'm the school that I partnered with in ministry in Columbia, the same thing. So it was a university in Columbia that was partnering with a university in the United States. They created a joint program, and so teachers were going down there. So it was fully accredited from the university here in the States. And so we were going down there teaching, and then the graduates would complete I think it was 10 or 12 courses. And then they would, after they completed those 12 courses, they would then receive basically like an associate level type degree. Okay. But it was like for real. It wasn't like just us going down there teaching for a week and then, all right, good, go back. No, we would go down there. I teach for a week. It's like an intro kind of thing to Old Testament, for example. And then they would have assignments for the rest of the semester or quarter. They were doing it in quarters. So the rest of the quarter, they'd have assignments where they have to write papers, read books. It was intense. And so
is the way that we do it in America not an American original way of doing it? Has it been done this way for a long time? Pre-America?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because often the way we do it is the way that it's been done in Europe.
Okay.
For, centuries now, Okay. And so it's, no. So yeah, the way we're doing it.
So people in Europe before pre-America used to go to the same type of
100%
program that you did.
100%.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Just making an easy connection, Oxford, for example. A lot of the Anglican priests were going to Oxford. You know?
Well, anyway, yeah, okay. So that's what they college from there, and everyone.
Yeah, and so
everyone does college.
Yeah, and then I will say this though, once you get to the the Reformation, then at that point you begin having priesthood training, if you were. For those, for the groups that became, Lutherans or the Calvinists, so in other words, they had to begin to establish their own centers of education.
Right.
Okay. And that's where there was a major rise of really higher education within Germany.
We need to talk about Calvin.
We do need to talk about John Calvin. But Germany became like the hotbed of theological training in Europe. Okay.
For all the other places besides Catholics.
Yes.
Okay.
And so there's this hotbed of theological training that was happening there in Germany, and so a rise of a lot of the theologians that are discussed from, let's say, the 18th to the 20th centuries are from Germany, and then obviously from there it's not just limited to Germany, but that was a big, massive rise of theological learning and education, and then and then that model, if you were, began to spread throughout Protestantism.
Okay, so throughout my whole existence, I've heard about these not college, Bible college, temporary gap year, 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
Not really Bible college things. Okay. Is that Bible college?
Is that Bible college?
What do you call those?
Yeah.
So
there's I think there's a whole lot of different groups within that. Okay. So you've got the things. Okay. So largely what we talked about last episode were colleges or universities that were accredited, right?
Yeah.
That had accreditation.
And these things are definitely not accredited.
Right. Then you've got a lot of, let's say, school of ministries, even quote unquote Bible colleges. They'll call them, Bible colleges.
Okay.
That do not have accreditation through a regionally accredited school. Okay, for example. And so you've got, so for example, our church that I was associate pastor at, for 10 years, we had a school of ministry. Okay. Now our school of ministry was a gap year program for students coming out of high school before they go to college. They could spend a year with us year or two with us. And now one thing they could choose to do was have their time there and the courses there accredited through Logos University, which I mentioned last episode.
Okay.
And so they could have accredited through that, but they didn't have to. So a lot of the students chose not to. Majority of the students chose not to have it accredited.
Okay.
And because they were just more there for the experience, for the learning, they knew that they were going to go into jobs that, whether it was, being a teacher or an engineer or marketing or whatever, and that they weren't really concerned about having like an associate's degree of applied theology. For them,
they just wanted a year to F around.
No, come on, man. No, most of them wanted a year to grow closer in their relationship with Christ, to learn the Bible more, those kind of things, right? To prepare them for going to college. And so you got those kind of like...
To Bible college or to real college?
Either.
Okay.
And so, or maybe...
Is that a false equivalency?
Yeah.
Or dichotomy? Or whatever you call it?
Because...
Rome?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It doesn't even exist. I mean, so I think that it's really...
I have to leave that in now.
So, so there's a so for the Bible colleges, I mean, for some people, I mean, again, some Bible colleges again are accredited like you would, like your state university or private university, right? And then some are not. But so you got the gap year programs like what we had, where there was maybe a accreditation from like a Logos University type thing. Others have no accrediting background, or their accreditation, if you were, was just coming from a larger school of ministry that really is themselves not accredited either. But we're going through this large, this school of ministry, and you have these courses, and at the end of it you'll get a diploma or or a certificate or whatever of graduation from this larger group.
But that larger
group's not any more accredited than anybody else.
All their classes can go to this other
larger
group, and they're not accredited
and
either.
That can't happen. That can't happen. And so I think a lot of the school of ministries, there's a lot of difference too in what that looks like and what it is. A lot of times it's not just studying, doctrine or theology. It's not just coursework.
Okay.
In other words, there's a lot of practical, hands-on type things as well. And so you're learning more like ministry, like how to do certain tasks or run certain ministries. That's like really more of what you're doing, as opposed to taking like Bible courses, like a Old Testament survey, New Testament survey, apologetics, worldviews, whatever it may be. You may not be taking those kind of courses. You're just, and so it's more like an internship almost.
So you're like learning how to make coffee in the coffee shop at a megachurch.
Yeah, that could be part of it.
Basically,
I mean, honestly, and not that you're not. And they may say, "Hey, we're going to take you through this, like this, we're going to go through the Bible in a year, or we're going to, like there." I'm not saying there's no educational component to it.
Okay,
but it may just not be as rigorous as what you would find, in an accredited type school.
Okay,
but again, ours that we ran, our kids were taking, multiple courses every quarter. And so they were taking 3 courses a quarter. And so it was, it was pretty rigorous for them.
Okay.
And so it just depends on how the different ministries are set up and ran. But then you also have like some churches will offer, hey, you can, like, we're going to all go through these courses together that's offered by this ministry. Okay. So they'll label it as like, we have a school of ministry and we're taking these courses offered by this other ministry. But again, kind of the same thing. It's not necessarily accredited, quote unquote. And I'm not saying the value of it is not good. I'm not saying the value of it's not there. We're just talking purely, is it accredited or not accredited?
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Cause I think a lot of the stuff, if I'm being honest, I think a lot of the stuff is actually really good. That's taught in these kind of environments, depending on who you're pulling it from. A lot of them are really good, and some of them aren't, but there's a lot that are.
It seems like I don't know what to do with my life, and if I hang out with Jesus for a year or 2 years, no one can say shit. You know what I mean? No one can get mad at me for it.
For doing that.
Yeah, for doing that. So I'm going to go
hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you. If you're not sure what you want to do for a couple of years, it's not the worst thing in the world to do.
Right.
I mean, I really actually promote, my own child who's about to graduate high school in a little bit, I would love for my child to go do a gap year program.
I thought you didn't want him to be a pastor.
No, I don't necessarily want him to be a pastor. But do I want him to go to a gap year program and learn more about the Bible and grow in Christ and become a better leader? Yeah, I would love that for him. So go serve on the mission field for a while. That'd be awesome. So
okay,
yeah, I'm all for that. So I don't think it's the worst way to spend your time at all if you're unsure of what you're going to do. And I do think maybe can help bring some clarity to stuff. And I think we have to get away from the fact that people going to these kind of programs, like you just said, it's not just so they can go be pastors. That's not the point of it to me. Majority of the people that went through our program, our discipleship program, are not going into ministry. It was just to prepare them for life going forward with having even more solid foundation of the Bible and of theology, and just having a better worldview and be able to logically process what's happening through a biblical worldview. And so it was hopefully setting them up for the rest of their life, again, not just for going into ministry or ministry endeavors.
It's so they can learn how to carry the pastor's podium and water bottle up after worship during the service.
I mean, somebody's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, might as well be an intern.
With their little headsets on and their all black clothes.
Right.
So they can't be seen in the background.
I love those parody skits about interns in mega churches and how they're never paid to do anything.
Yeah.
But they're required to work
parody, good one. It's not parody. Next question. A lot of people, maybe not me,
probably so,
but probably me too, a little bit, think Bible college is BS.
Okay.
So what do you got to say to that?
Well, okay. When you think of Bible college and you're saying that's BS, what do you mean by Bible college? Because we've covered a lot of different things.
What do I mean?
Yeah. What are you thinking about when you say Bible college is not cool?
Okay, it's either so localized and not accredited and unimportant and doesn't help you with real life at all, and is not a track to, I guess this is all just one point. It's not a track to actually make any money in your life, so it's worthless, and you could learn all this stuff on your own. Just go to church; it's free. All that.
Okay.
So there you go. Was that good?
I mean, that's fine. That's fair. I mean, I think it all depends on an individual and what they're wanting to do, right? Because if let's say they don't want to. Let's say they don't feel called to ministry, okay, but they do want to grow deeper in the Word. And all right, let's say you're a young person, you're coming out of high school, and you want to go deeper in the Word. I just said it a minute ago, I got no problem with you taking a gap year and doing that. Okay. For me, I think that's awesome. Great. How often? I mean, because the reality is right after high school or right after college, about the only two windows we have to just be able to take a year to do something like that, or 2 years. So, and I'll say this: a lot of the individuals that did it, with us, they were at the church with us, doing the courses and those kind of things, and serving a few days a week. But then they did also have part-time jobs, and we also did teach life skills. So we did everything from budgeting to talking about investing to, I mean, we wanted to actually, even things here, we're going to teach you how to change a tire. That sounds crazy, but we had a lot of people who didn't know how to change a tire. And so so we did try to teach basic life skills along the way. Okay. And then just being with each other I think that's awesome. It's great. But I understand your point. If it's I'm just going to randomly take a year off, and do I really have to take a year off to grow closer to Jesus and study the Bible, that kind of things? And I think the answer to the question is no, I don't have to. And I think there's really some incredible resources. And, one of the things we talk about, with our sponsor, with discipleship group, for example, individuals can go through that. And that's it's 3.5 years worth of studying. If you're doing it like every week, right? You're not missing a week.
I thought it was 3 years.
Well, it's 3 years. There's another book called Kingdom Living that can be added on to
really?
it. Yeah. And, but it's actually, I said 3.5 years. That one's actually only 3 months. So, but none of us are really going through it every single week. And so getting done with
it's like you have to be a disciple your whole life.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. And so what I think you actually the point there, right? Like, so if we're in a discipleship relationship with another person, hopefully with a group, then in that scenario, we're growing in Christ. There's an intentional, systematic way in which we're growing in our relationship with Jesus, and we're learning more of the Word. We're learning theology. We're learning doctrine, and we're in a church body and community, and therefore we're learning how to, take all of this and apply it to our daily lives. So
okay.
I do think that is as legitimate as doing anything else, as going to and taking courses online through a university or those kind of things. Because it's about the goal. It's about what am I wanting to accomplish and go through this, all right? But I will say for individuals that feel called to ministry, individuals that feel called to be a pastor, that feel called to serve on staff at a church, I do think that individuals need to go and actually go to a seminary and, pursue, and I'll say seminary, go to Bible college, get a bachelor's degree, it could be in, in theology.
Colossians.
Colossians. Well, you wouldn't get one in just that. And so, but, get a biblical studies degree, get a theological studies degree. I think that would help so many individuals.
So you think
ministry.
That all pastors should have to go to a school?
Yes, I'm going to.
Okay.
I'll say that of some form, of some kind.
Just any school.
Like I think that they need to have
Bridgewater Elementary.
No. Like I'm glad they went to the elementary school, but more than that, like no, I do think that individuals need to have courses that are focused in again on biblical studies or theological studies. Because if you're charged with preaching the word, so this is probably more for those along those lines. Like if you're charged for preaching the word, teaching the word, you should be willing to take the time to go deeper into those studies. So like we have individuals in our church, and they're going through the discipleship group materials, and they're learning. They're growing and they're learning a lot, and will continue to grow and learn a lot. But we also have individuals in our church that really feel called to go into some form of teaching or preaching ministry. And so for them, I want them to, go get an associate's degree even. It doesn't have to be a master's of divinity. It doesn't have to be that. But like go get at least an associate's degree in biblical studies or theological studies and really take the time to, develop and grow in your understanding of the context so that you can teach the word well. So I am, and then I would say as pastors, if you're a pastor in a church, yes, value education. Go get your master's of divinity degree.
Okay.
I would say that, or a master's in theological studies degree. Like go do that. I'm a huge proponent of that. And I think for us coming out of like the charismatic church, almost nobody has diplomas and degrees. I think that's where we've gotten some of the stuff off. Okay. But I'll say on the flip side, theological, because the theological school I went to, the School of Divinity I went to, man, it's, I was having to fight tooth and nail just to hold on to my faith and to still believe in Jesus because half of my professors actually didn't. So it does depend on where you go. And I will say that education alone doesn't qualify you to be a pastor. But I think, again, if you're serving in a Bible-believing church and wanting to be a pastor there, man, go to a solid biblical, seminary or theological school, get a master's in theological studies or a master's in divinity. And that way you can become a much more effective preacher or teacher. Or at minimum, go back and finish your bachelor's degree in biblical studies, in theological studies. For me, I just value education, and I know I get it. I got my master's and I got my doctorate, and so obviously I do. But I just think it would help so much safeguard and protect us from just getting off into crazy la la land.
Okay,
so that's my 2 cents.
It seems like some of these places could manipulate and prey on people who feel called into ministry just because they want their money, and they don't really care whether they actually think they're called into ministry, and they just want these people's money. So what do you think about that?
I think those places exist.
Okay.
I do think the places exist that just, they're not overly concerned about individuals calling or those kind of things. They just want students to be able to bring in the, few $1,000s, $10,000, whatever it is, a year or a degree, whatever. I do think that those places exist.
Okay.
So I think they exist. Well, I know they exist. Okay.
Okay.
But I don't think that just because that those places exist disqualifies every other place that looks similar but has very different motives.
Okay.
But I think that people can go into places, be told, yep, you're called to this and you're called to that, and that really not be the case? Yeah, I do think so. And a lot of seminaries and theological schools will actually have what they'll call career and calling type centers. In other words, a place they're intentionally helping students discern the call of God for their lives.
Okay.
And it may be you go through the process, and maybe you're trying to get a master's degree or whatever, and you're working with them, and then at the end of the day, it may come out, you know what? I would just be much better serving in the marketplace. Okay. I could be a Sunday school teacher, a small group leader, but my place, a place I'm going to thrive is actually being in the marketplace instead of serving in a local church, and then I can volunteer my time to that local church. And I think that when places are able to do that, that puts a major, for me, seal of I can have confidence in them that they're not in it for just the money. Okay. But I think if we're being honest, all schools to a degree I won't say all.
Right.
Most schools to a degree need students for their school to continue running.
Right.
So there is a little bit of the money part of it.
But I'm not really talking about hey, we have this many slots and we're going to fill that up and we run like a regular school. I'm talking about the people who it's like a cult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you come and pay, and they say it's like a cult. They say you're going to get some crazy experience out of it, and tell everyone their calling is whatever, no matter who they are, and because those places exist.
Yeah, they do. Okay. They do exist. Of 100%. Come here. At our place, you're going to discover God like you can never discover Him anywhere else.
Right.
Come here to this place. You're going to learn revelation that you will not get anywhere else. Absolutely, those places exist.
Okay.
And it breaks my heart that they do, because they are preying on individuals that genuinely want to grow in Jesus, that do want to have revelation and know what God's plan is for them. Right. So my heart breaks for those individuals, but there's absolutely those, and a lot of those are the kind of things we were talking about earlier. They're the quote unquote schools of ministries that are attached to a church, like a local church.
Okay.
And they don't have any other, there's no auditing or covering part of that.
Okay.
It's just, hey, bring them in, bring your money. And again, I'm not saying that it's just for the money's sake, because sometimes it can be we just want to be able to say, hey, we have 50 kids in our school of ministry, or, whatever.
Okay. So anyone can just start a school of ministry?
Oh, sure. Any church can. Our church, right now, we could start one tomorrow if we wanted to.
All right.
And just be
I want to start it.
You're going to be the dean?
Yeah.
Awesome.
The dean. And the president.
And CEO. Right.
I want more titles than you.
gonna make you just dean of everything.
Yeah.
Dean of the school, dean of admissions, dean of just Nate.
Tonight's homework, Genesis.
All of it. All 50 chapters.
Yeah.
I need a paper summarizing.
We're going to talk about
tomorrow.
it next week.
Right.
What is a firmament? Does anyone know? Just know these big words right at the beginning. Right. No one knows what this. Whatever.
Next.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Getting into the fun stuff, like how many wives did Jacob have, and
right.
Yeah. So. Anyway, so so any church can just say we're starting a school of ministry, 100%.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, I actually looked into it for our church. I'll be honest with you, but
wow,
but with a accredited group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
So
peer accredited.
Yeah, peer accredited.
Accredited group. Through someone else who's accredited. Through someone else who might be accredited.
No,
but it's Jesus, so who cares?
No, they're legitimate. So,
all right,
yeah, but yeah, we did look at doing that and just to explore the. You don't
have any room to do that.
No, not now. So
whatever.
Joseph has dreams.
I've heard from people who went to Bible colleges that they have crazy rules, like you can't hold hands with someone from the opposite sex or meet with them alone anywhere, and no alcohol on campus, and
right.
Basically, you can have no fun while you're here, and you need to only focus on Jesus the entire time.
Okay.
So what's the deal?
Yeah. So
is that okay? Are they allowed to do that?
Well, they're absolutely allowed to do it. They're a private institution. They can do whatever they want to do as far as their laws are concerned.
Okay.
As long as they're not causing people to do anything illegal or unethical.
All right.
So
don't like that.
a few things.
That's a cult.
A few things. Okay. A few things that I don't want to say to that is, number one, having fun. Like you just said, basically, here's what you said. Man, we can't hook up and we can't drink. There's just no fun.
Yeah.
I'm
on this side of the table.
but that to me is one of the most infuriating, frustrating perspectives of what it looks like for a college age student to have fun. Is like, in other words, like somehow it must involve those two things for fun to be had.
Okay, well, that's the normal college fun that is in every...
All right, and I'm going to say that I went to the University of Georgia.
Yeah, so you understand.
Did not drink the whole time I was there.
Okay.
Didn't have sex the whole time I was there.
Just because you left town to drink doesn't...
No. Okay, I had the only time I've had alcohol, right?
Ever?
Since college, or during... From college on,
okay,
from the time I entered into college as a freshman, the only time I've had alcohol was at my grandfather's, when he got remarried. My grandmother had passed away. He got remarried. At his wedding rehearsal dinner, they had champagne. I had a glass of champagne.
Okay.
That is literally the only alcohol I've had.
That is the worst last drink ever.
That is... Hey, I wasn't even really going to, I was debating whether to even do that. And I did just because, all right, we're here. This is, we're not getting drunk. This is just, celebrate my granddad. And okay, so let's do this. And so yeah, but I've not had alcohol I was probably 20. So yeah, like 26 years.
You were 20?
Yeah.
You just admitted to a crime.
I did. Oh, well. And so it just... So my point just being is so I'm at the University of Georgia, no alcohol, not having sex.
All right, this is.
And we had. I know, but it is a point that I had lots of fun. That didn't need all that other stuff to have quote unquote fun. Okay, and so taking that and putting it into the question you're asking.
Yes.
Is that if we remove these things, is it okay? Yes, it's absolutely okay, because there's a lot of colleges, not just like your seminaries or your theological schools, but just like your like there's like your private colleges, private Christian schools, universities. Okay. So private Christian universities where you're going to get an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, whatever it may be, that you're going there and they have those rules in place.
The same kind of rules?
100%.
What?
Where you cannot be in another, you can't be like in a dorm room with another individual of the opposite sex, where there's no alcohol allowed on campus. Those are pretty normal rules for Christian colleges and universities.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right.
So I don't know. I mean, and it's because they're upholding a standard, right? And I personally have no problem with it.
Okay. Well, but they get like worse than that, and they treat people worse than that, though.
Okay, what do you mean?
Like the shame afterwards.
The shame of what?
Of if you fail against the rules. But also they have worse rules than that. I've never been, but I've heard people talk about like rules that just get deeper and deeper than that.
Yeah. Now I don't know. I mean, yes, there can be to me the issues would start being, right, like where they're like micromanaging your life. Because if they're micromanaging your life, that does cross a little bit of a line.
Like I've heard about them, like they monitor your internet if you're watching porn and stuff like that. Like stuff where or any money that you get from your parents has to go through them first, and that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy,
right? You've heard of that kind of stuff, right?
To me, that is infringement,
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying but like the other things, like the moral, like those to hold moral codes, right?
Okay.
I've got no issue with it because it's up to the private institution what they want to do, right? And what are the moral standards they're wanting to implement. Now, when you're talking about, okay, hey, this 22-year-old, we're going to make them have curfew, right? Like lights,
yes,
like lights out by 10 or whatever. Like, okay, like, nah, man. Like, I'm old enough to be able to decide when I'm going to go to sleep.
Right.
Okay. And no, I do not need my parents or my job or whatever to pass money through you to then get to no, that's, if someone signs up for that, that's like asinine. Like I can't even believe they would do that. But anyways, if there are schools that are doing those kind of things, yes, that might be problematic. I mean, not might be. That would be problematic. I would hope that's not. I don't think that's anywhere close to even a high minority of them, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Now again,
this is the one. Those are the ones that they make documentaries about all the time,
right? Because those are the ones you're like, okay. Maybe we are getting close to cult territory, right? Like if they're overseeing your finances and that, like, okay, that's, if they're being kind of big brotherish where they're looking at everything you're looking at on the internet, regardless if it's porn or not, right? Like, okay, that may be a little too much.
Okay, what was your experience with Bible college?
All right, my experience?
Yeah.
So my experience was, all right, so I went to
Pastor Joseph, doctor.
So I went from the University of Georgia to Candler School of Theology at Emory University.
Okay.
So it's a Methodist divinity school.
Okay.
All right.
Why'd you pick Methodism?
Because I got saved at a Methodist retreat called Chrysalis and got connected into a Methodist church. I was part of a Methodist campus ministry my whole time during college.
Okay.
And then I worked for a Methodist evangelist after college. And so it was just, that was the world I was in.
Okay.
And so for me to go, and then I was moving here to the area we're in to work at a Methodist church as the youth pastor. So it was the Methodist world we were in. And so anyway, so went to that school, thankful to go to that school in the sense of, I didn't come out, I graduated from that school without any debt, so like it was financially very feasible for me to do it. All right.
Okay.
Because of scholarships. And so, and I wanted to go through the elder ordination process in the Methodist church. And so you had to go to a Methodist seminary. And so that's just the whole process. Right. But my experience there was pretty tough, if I'm being honest. Like because, as I said before, like, I mean, I had professors, majority of my professors did not believe the Bible was the inerrant, infallible word of God. And so that made it difficult at times for me, because I was coming from a very evangelical perspective of, the Bible's inspired, every word is true. I wasn't a fundamentalist in the sense of I didn't believe in a literal interpretation of everything, but I was evangelical in the sense of, but I believed all of it was true and therefore inspired, inerrant, and infallible. And so it made that was a conflict in and of itself at times with my professors. With my fellow students, majority of them were not evangelical at all. And so most of them leaned pretty heavy on toward the liberal end. Not necessarily, some were progressive, but not as much as you would find there today. Like if you went to the same school today, a lot are progressive. Where at my point when I was there, they were more liberal. There's a difference. And so for the liberal, they may not believe the Bible is all true. And they may not believe that even Jesus is the only way. They may not believe Jesus is the only way, but they still hold to the fact that, but that Jesus is God. We're going to worship him. He did die. He did rise. Right? And so a lot of them held to, I say not Jesus is the only way. That's probably not the right way to phrase it. More like Jesus was the way for everybody. It's like he created a universalism in a way, because everyone now is saved through his death. Okay. And so that was kind of the world I was in. And so that made it difficult, although there were individuals that very much believed Jesus was not the only way you could worship, Buddha, Muhammad, or not Muhammad, but Allah. And so there was very much it was a very different environment for me from where I was coming from. And so it was hard, difficult, but at the same time, it really it forced me as a young believer, because I'd only been saved for like 5 years at this point. Mm-hmm. So it forced me as a young believer to really push in to what did I believe, to really know the Bible, why I believe it. So it was actually academically, it was very good for me.
How did you know that all that was wrong, if that's what you were being taught?
Because I believed the Bible was true. That was the thing. So I came in there believing the Bible's true. Jesus is the only way. Okay. I do not believe, and I believe that you had to have faith, by grace, had to have faith in him to be saved.
So how did you not get convinced otherwise then, if that's what they were teaching you in school?
Yeah. Because some of it's stubbornness, probably on my own end. Okay. Just in the sense of I just don't take things at face value. Right? So if you say something to me, I do. Yeah, right. Mr. Skeptic to the nth degree over here. And so, but I may listen to you, and I may not even attack you back or challenge you in return, but I'm thinking about it. Yeah. And so I may walk away and really try to think through that. And so for me, because I wasn't the most combative person initially, I kind of became more combative as time went on, because what started breaking my heart when I was realizing all these individuals were about to go be pastors, and as far as I was concerned, was going to begin to lead people astray. And so it just broke my heart. And so I did begin to challenge individuals a little more often, probably halfway through my second year or so. So the last year and a half I was there. It was because it was a 3-year program, 88, 89 credit hour, something like that. Okay. So it's a full 3-year program, and it was rigorous. I mean, the educational component of it was rigorous. But I also enjoyed it. I also liked digging into understanding the culture of the ancient Near East and understanding the perspectives. And it was helpful to understand the perspectives of individuals that thought differently than I did, and for me to have to wrestle with those. So one, I was, stubborn in the sense I just don't take everything at face value. But then two, I just kept coming back to going, but the Bible's got to be true. And I will say this, I had a senior pastor who was at that time that I was working with, and he was awesome, just walking me through my questions. He welcomed every question, every doubt I had, every, moment where I did have a moment where I was like, maybe they're right and I'm wrong. Maybe the Bible's not not inerrant, not infallible. Maybe it's not. I did have that moment, and me having the freedom and safety to be able to express that to my senior pastor, and him just going, "You'll be okay. Let's just, let's walk through. Like, no worries. You're okay. You're all right." Like, he allowed me to have doubts, allowed me to have questions, allowed me to wrestle with my faith, even in the midst of being the youth pastor, and that was like a huge gift to me. And so. But yeah, would I recommend individuals going to Candler School of Theology? No, just no. Okay. I just wouldn't at all.
You've said it like 10 times in these 2 episodes.
Well,
and now you're just like, nah.
Like, not that one. Don't go there. I can recommend plenty of others. Just don't go there. Now, where I just finished my doctorate degree was from Asbury Theological Seminary.
Okay.
Go there. So, that's where I'm going to tell everybody else to go. Go there. Go get your master's there. Go to, it's a true seminary.
What'd you study in seminary?
So for me, my focus was on preaching and leadership. Okay. And so, for me, so all of us as first year doctoral students, we all took a spiritual discipline class, or let me rephrase that, spiritual formation class. So we also took a spiritual formation class. So we did some things that were shared in that, and then we all did a biblical studies component of how we it's called inductive Bible study, and so how to actually do deep exegesis from a different perspective than a very different perspective than what I was taught in theology school. And so the way I was taught in theology school was a very deductive manner. It was very, all right, we're going to look at it, examine it just based on just fact, where the inductive manner looks at the Bible as literature. So you consider the genre, and then you're really examining just the wording, the way it's worded. It's just it's almost like a literary approach in some ways. And then, but you're understanding that literary approach from the same context you're understanding this deductive approach, or more like a historical fact approach, where you do understand historical context and those kind of things. So it was kind of I was able to take this side and allow it to support the inductive part, where I was learning and leaning into understanding the literary parts of Scripture, the way it was written, how it was written, and placing it within the context of history and culture. And so it was pretty amazing, if I'm being honest. It was really genuinely I was learning to read the Bible all over again. It was amazing for me, and still is. I'm still reading the Bible the same way through those lenses, and it's just different, and it's been life-changing for me. And so there was that, but then obviously with my emphasis on preaching and leadership, a lot of it was on preaching and leadership, and so the leadership components were largely dealing with things like adaptive leadership. And so, in other words, or change leadership, people may know it as that. Okay. And so where it wasn't like an organizational leadership component, it was more hey, we're going to learn how do we lead churches through adaptive, through adaptive changes, and through adaptive problems or change issues. How do we help lead churches through this? And it was, incredible. It was just life-giving. So I feel like I'm a better leader because of it. I'm definitely a better preacher. My preaching classes were unbelievable. Amazing. And so I feel like I'm a better preacher because of it, better teacher because of it. I read the Bible, in a better way because of it. I'm more healthy spiritually because of it. This was my doctorate was in a doctorate. It's a D-Min degree. So it's meant to be more practical. So in other words, they want to, obviously we're going deep academically, but it's so that we can apply it practically into our ministry context. Okay. So it wasn't just completely just kind of abstract, intellectual endeavors. It was how do we learn, go deeper in our learning, and apply it into our practical ministry experiences. So,
okay,
yeah. So I loved it. So everybody, y'all can go to Asbury. I will endorse Asbury,
but not Canterbury or whatever the other one was.
Candler.
Yeah.
Dear God, don't go to Candler.
Okay. All right, last question.
All right.
Would you recommend Bible college to everyone?
No, not to everyone.
Okay.
I don't think Bible college is necessary for everybody.
Okay.
At all. And again, if in your church you have a solid discipleship, model method, there's like an intentional plan of how we're going to make disciples who make disciples and to grow in your faith, do that.
Okay.
Like, I think for most people that is plenty.
Okay.
And so,
what about not most people? Who would you recommend Bible college to?
Those who really do feel called into a teaching or preaching ministry specifically, I think going to Bible college is so worth it.
Okay.
So like in our bylaws, you have to have a minimal, you have to have a degree to serve as a pastor at our church.
Okay.
And then we put that in there because I wanted to uphold a standard. Now you do not have to have
because you were pulling the ladder up behind you.
Something like that. All right.
You got there and you were like, nope. No siree, dummies.
Yeah. Anyways, so I'm not saying you have to go get a master's or a doctorate, those kind of things, but do I think that individuals that have a preaching or teaching ministry should have a degree? Yes. And I will say for those that really that feel called to preach and teach as a senior pastor, right? Like go, or even associate pastor that's just preaching and teaching a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I would say even go get your master's.
Even an associate pastor?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think again, if you're preaching and teaching, it's like like a primary part of your ministry. Do that.
Okay, so if someone came up to you and said, "I want to go to Bible school," what would you ask them?
Well, just the first question, why? I mean, honestly.
Okay.
Right? Why do you want to do that?
What answer would you be looking for on a good reason to go to Bible school?
I mean, it doesn't have to even just be like, I feel called to be a ministry. It could just be, hey, I want to go and learn and grow deeper, and I have the opportunity to. It's not going to take too much time away from my family. We've discussed it as a family. It's not going to take too much time away from them. It's something I can add on, and I can go deeper. I think that's awesome. I know people who've done that. Like they
just go to Bible school in their spare time because they can?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Oh.
Yep.
For no end goal purpose.
For no end goal at all, other than they just want to know the Bible more. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you think that's fine?
100%.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I was just having breakfast not too long ago with someone, and they did that. And they were they were an electrician. That was their profession, and they decided to go to Bible school to grow more in their knowledge of the Word. Awesome. So so it doesn't have to have. The end goal doesn't have to be, I want to be a pastor.
Can you do online Bible college?
Oh, yeah. You can do online. 100%.
Okay.
Yep. Great option.
All right.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay.
We graduated.
Yes.
From these 2 episodes of Bible college.
Awesome.
Cool. Is that it?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I got nothing else. I'm good.
All right. Well, this has been the When I Heard This podcast. You can follow podcasts on Facebook and Instagram at When I Heard This podcast, and X and locals at When I Heard This. Ring the notification bell. Tell everyone that you know about the show, and go to the website where there's t-shirts. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Abe Robinson, and you can follow Joseph on Instagram at
Rev Joe T.
This has been the When I Heard This podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.